So this is another aspect of being married to a spook, which I was for a few years a while back. The other aspects I was going to deal with, there might be more, but as a minimum, there's the handlers, there's the low profile aspect of how they live their lives, and there's the vetting business. Not vetting of them, but vetting of everybody else in their lives. Anyone of any significance, they will proceed to vet. So perhaps I should deal with vetting first. So if you're married to a spy, security services operative, and you don't have any idea about it, you may find that they're very neutral when they first meet people that you, let's say you're getting together initially, which is the situation I was in because I was in my 20s, mid-20s. So if you get together, you will find that they are neutral with people, they tend to be perfectly pleasant, they're very polite, and so on and so forth. What they really think about those people, though, is they will often try to find a little bit about them before they proceed to meet them. So, for example, a classic example is if you're going to invite them into your home, and if you're married, of course, that's a kind of joint home. So, pardon me, if you invite them into your home, the unbeknown to you, you're married to spy, your spook spouse partner will try and, will want them vetted first. You often don't find out till afterward what they've found out. So they're perfectly polite with people. They don't often give any veiled, barbed remarks or anything like that. It's not their job to be bitchy about people. But being in command of information about people, about things that people would like kept secret, that's the stuff that the operative spook would like to know about in advance of meeting them. So once they've established their name and where they are and figured out who they are, and they could do this by various means, but for example, they only need to know the house they live at before they can get their full name as owning it, presumably. And then they proceed down that line to find out from who they are, the date of birth or something, all the details about them. This is a matter of routine, this isn't a special thing. So that's how afterwards, after a few conversations, and maybe when I remember one conversation I had with my now ex-wife, when we were married, and I thought things were alright, we were talking about a particular couple, and it came out that one of my brothers was described as the salt of the earth. But on the subject of his spouse, which of course is the next thing that comes up, now the operative spook spy, they know that the next thing I'm going to ask is about the spouse. Oh, well, if so-and-so is the salt of the earth, what about his partner, his wife? And I think the response was something like, I'm not saying anything about his wife, right? I'm not talking about her. I'm just saying that so-and-so is the salt of the earth. And I'm trying not to embarrass my brothers by saying which person we were talking about. I think it would probably apply to both brothers, to be honest, but this is about the person they were married to. And so you deduce from this that they're either singling out that person who's related to me for praise, to indicate the praise, or it's quite possible they're indicating their praise knowing that the next thing that I'm going to ask is, so in a way they're bringing up the subject of someone who they don't believe can be trusted, or has such a troubled past that there are issues that most people just wouldn't know, and indeed it's quite fair to say that my brother may not know. I may not have known at the time. So they know a lot about people. There was a whole tranche of people who we were hanging out with at the time in a well-to-do place in the north of England, not far from Leeds. Anybody who lives there or looks at a map will know where it is and what town it is. So we had a whole tranche of friends there, and I thought these were mutual friends because they'd been made really after we got together, as opposed to the friends that we both had from before. And then my wife described them, my ex-wife now, but my wife at the time described them as that lot, right, in inverted commas. So she obviously had a view of them that was fairly negative, and that was based on all sorts of things. Now they all worked at a particular place that was to do with troubled people, troubled young people, I think, stayed at this place. And I gathered over the years that there was something had gone on at this place. Now, whatever it was, my wife at the time obviously had dug into it and had found out pretty much all there was to know about it. I bet she'd have access to the police report. She'd have access to any other information about those individuals, things that they thought were private. You know, it could be phone recordings, it could be all sorts. This is the 80s, so they've already tapped into everybody's phones. And this particular town is just down from a listening station where, by listening, they make you think they've got radar stuff going on, which they have, but actually a large amount of it is that allegedly the fibre optics of the whole country's telephone system go right through this place, or they have access to it somehow. So even in the 80s, by the late 80s, they were tapping into every telephone call, never mind certain telephone calls. Of course, it's too much information to digest, but now there are better ways of digesting it. Computer programs, routines, bots. Yeah. Okay, so the vetting thing, you as a spouse were completely unaware of this at the time, or I was, but they actually vet everybody that they have anything to do with. And you will find that they doff their cap to a certain few people, usually somebody to do with the military personnel, forces people. I once was telling a lie to a boss of mine, and it was to do the effect, I wanted a day off, you see, and I said I had to go to some funeral or something. That was pretty naughty. And as I've said to you in the other piece, lies always get found out, and this is one of the reasons why I say this. I was just on the verge of leaving, having given this lie, when my wife at the time suddenly said, quite casually, and was unapologetic about it, he hasn't got a funeral to go to. No, he's not going to a funeral. We're just going up north for the weekend. Pow, right? Why? I was really shocked by it, but it's because the guy was a captain in the army or something, and therefore she wasn't prepared to lie to him. It was a kind of mutual respect thing. Her being in the security forces and him being in the army, having been in the army, his rank counted for something. She wasn't prepared to tell a big fat lie. And I would guess there was some backdoor method that she was being handled by somebody who knew this guy because they were in the police/military forces. You know, there's a connection thing goes on. So I say everybody gets vetted. So you will be gently steered as a spouse away from certain people and towards certain people, because that vetting procedure tells someone all sorts of things that you couldn't possibly know as a normal individual. Thanks for watching and listening.